I know why. I'm a very religious person. I truly believe, and I'd do anything else in the world, and I'm not successful. But this is tailor made for me. Hey, this is Ken Shamrock, the world's most dangerous man. Well, former world's most dangerous man. We're chatting with Staxx.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Ken Shamrock.
And so it's not like, yeah, we're accepted, but we are who we are, and we need to always guard from that.
Did you have plans, like once you're in this home, do you have plans for the future on what you wanted to do with your life?
And I remember I fly out and I get there after, watching the tape with Dean and seeing the two guys that were on there. And I was like, damn, that was impressive. And so I get to Japan, I get off the plane, they pick me up, they take me to the dojo. I don't even go to the hotel. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but what they were going to do is if I didn't do well, they were going to bring me back to the airport and put me on the next flight out. I wasn't staying. So I get there, and it's a 10-hour flight. Gets you. It's not like a short flight. So I get there, and they're like, "Yeah, get dressed." And I was like, in my head, I'm like, "Wow, I don't even get a flight." So I get dressed and start to warm up, and as I'm warming up, the door opens into the dojo, and I see these two guys walk in. And I looked, and I remember thinking, how do I know? I know it was the two guys on the tape, the two guys that I saw fighting each other. It was Suzuki and Funaki, and they come walking into the dojo, and I'm like, that's them. And I was like, literally like, oh, like that was those guys, man. And so we start doing the tryouts. Well, they bring in this guy, Fouquet, who was a young boy. And then there was another young boy that came in. I don't remember his name. And the only reason I know Fouquet is because he stayed and we had a career together. So these two young boys come in. They hadn't made the team yet, right? And I don't know this. I think I'm going in, I'm trying out against some of these guys. And so we go in there, and I remember Fouquet goes first, and I just beat him up. Bang, bang, bang. I'm controlling them. I don't know anything, right? I just know street. I know how to punch. I know how to grab guys and slam on the ground. I know how to wrestle. I know how to do certain chokes, but not like those chokes. And so I'm basically feeling good. I go to the second guy. I go probably 25, 30 minutes with Fouquet. I go with this other dude, another probably 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. I don't remember if it was long. And I remember I'm sweating, and I feel good. I'm like, yeah, bring it. Like, I'm feeling like that.
Yeah.
I'm in it. And I forget that those other guys are still in the building. So
the two guys from the tape.
The real ones. The real ones.
Yeah.
So I don't know this, right? I'm thinking that these guys are just part of the whole thing. And it's like, okay, I'm in. It's like, well, all of a sudden I hear Sammy, who was the U.S. connection, come over, and he spoke pretty good English. He goes, looks at me, he goes, "You think you can go some more?" It's probably 10, 15 minutes in between me actually doing anything. I recovered fast. Yeah, I'm ready. So he points to Suzuki. He says, as he's lacing up his shoes, he goes, "You ready?" And I remember Suzuki looks up. He has this slanted eyes, looks up at me, this evil look. He goes, "Yep." And not in English, like something. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, whoop this guy, because he's only 185 pounds. I'm 220, man. I'm crushing. So he comes in there, and he's small, just like the other guys that were there, 200, 180, not like me.
Yeah.
And so we start going, and I remember he shoots, I stuff him, I get around him, I'm holding him, I'm controlling him, and all of a sudden he spins over, and he gets right back, and I flip him off, and the next thing I know, I wake up. I'm like, he's standing up, I'm laying down, and I'm going, what happened? I say, well, what happened? I didn't stop. They're like, no, it's okay. Settle down. Are you good? And I said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What happened? It's like, you got choked out. No, I don't know what that means. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, literally, he put me to sleep. And I had no clue, because he did this necktie thing while he was in front of me. Like, I never saw that. Like, he tied me up and choked me from the side. And I'm thinking to myself, I didn't see. I didn't see it. Well, he won. He's like, so he says, go again. I was like, yeah, let's go. But I still don't know that I don't feel like I lost. Like, I
Yeah.
don't feel like anything happened. So we go again, and he drops down to my legs, and I'm thinking, what are you doing there? Like, what are you doing to my legs? So all of a sudden, I feel this excruciating pain. He's got my heel turning over the top. My knees painful, my knees painful. And I'm like grabbing, I'm trying to pull off, and I'm like, ugh, I'm not screaming. And so Sammy's going, tap, 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 tap. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. What do you mean friggin' tap? Say uncle. It's like he's trying to explain to me. I ain't saying uncle. Like, and it hurts, right? And I'm not tapping. Finally, he lets go of it. And I get up and my ankle's sore and I'm not showing it. I'm trying to be tough. And Sammy goes, listen, when they get you into this submission and they turn, he's trying to explain it to me simple. If it hurts, tap, come back, do it again. And by this time, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I think I just found the real guys. Those are the dudes on the tape. Those are the real ones. So Funaki comes out, does the same thing. Just literally beats the tar out of me. Both those guys literally had their way with me. I never in my entire life have been handled like that. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm done. Like, if I can't handle these guys, how am I going to fight? Like, I'm done. I felt so depressed. They sent me home. They never said a word to me. 2 weeks later, I get a call from Sammy because he was living out of Florida near Dean Malenko's school because they were training out of there. And he said, hey, you want to come fight? And I was like, you talking to me? Yes. yeah. Like, really? Like, you want me? Because I mean, I did nothing to impress them, I thought. But because I had determination and kept going, and I had that, they just saw it. I went there, started training, and I picked up real fast. The one thing I picked up was a heel hook because that's the one that hurt the most, that I had the most difficult time defending. All the rest of them I picked up pretty fast after one time. I could block it. But that heel hook felt like there was so many angles to it that it was like every time they got it, man, it was extremely painful. And so I remember thinking that's the first thing I learned. And I remember going into my fight. I fought, I forget his name, but it was my first one there, and it was basically just a straight street brawl. I mean, I brought everything. This guy was probably in the middle somewhere, not one of the top guys, but somewhere in the middle, and I beat him. Obviously, the ending was predetermined on that one. But as far as my ability to be able to, because it wasn't like pro wrestling where you go with things. You punish people. You make them earn every move they want to get. And so it felt like I had really punished this guy pretty bad. And then I ended up getting the win. So it was a great, and then from that point, and I didn't know it at the time, for me to win, for them to put me over, that was huge. I'd never done anything before. So whatever they saw in me in tryouts, even though I got beat up, they saw something that they thought was marketable. And obviously, as we see now, I become the first, Pancrase champion over in Japan, which is a Japanese-run organization. I was the first. I was able to go to a tournament, which that one was different because that was real. We went from the UWF, which was what we call the hybrid pro wrestling, which meant the ending was predetermined, but everything up to that was more like sparring. You were still hitting, you're still kicking, you're not trying to finish. So the ending was predetermined. But Pancrase, when we went to Pancrase, that's when it became real. That's when people got to really understand who Ken Shamrock was, because prior to that, they all knew me from the hybrid pro wrestling where the ending was predetermined, but they all knew because Funaki, I remember we did one of those hybrid pro wrestling ones and he blew up and he came to me and said that you got some stamina, dude. You got it. Like they literally saw that. Funaki Suzuki, when we started the new organization and said that we were going to go into a real shoot, we're going to find out what pro wrestling looks like when it's real, this type. There was no predetermined ending. They brought me and only me. It was Funaki, Suzuki, and myself that started Pancrase. Nobody else came with us because they couldn't handle what we were going to do, which was going to be bring it real. And once we did that, I think Suzuki and Funaki also found out that they weren't getting everything that I had. and they didn't know what that was until Funaki fought me in the inaugural event, the very first one, where they already had the belt pre-planned to put on him. And I end up with the first kick. I don't know this for sure, but when I watch it, it sure looks like it. And he wasn't able to perform the way he did. With that first kick that I threw the roundhouse to the midsection, I believe I fractured his rib. Because if you watch him from that point on, man, he didn't move very well. And I was able to win that match. And from that point on, man, I never looked back. Went from Pancrase to becoming the first champion there, defending it several times, and then going into the UFC and, taking those skills and going to another level in the UFC where it was true bare knuckle. And at that time, no rules.
Football kick, gladiator type stuff back.
No rules. Yeah, another level. It felt like I was being guided down this path to my reality, things that I would be great at. It just, and I don't know, I know why. I'm a very religious person. I truly believe, and I'd do anything else in the world and I'm not successful. But this is tailor-made for me.
Do you feel like it all came full circle from where you're in the group home fighting, and then you're in front of the crowd holding the bell?
Yeah, especially I think when it really, because when you're winning and you're defending titles and you're building teams to do more for your legacy, not just you. You're training other fighters to become, champions, and building a gym and building a team and all these things that you're doing. You don't have time to really reflect on that stuff. But when you do have that time, it's when you get inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's when you get to reflect and go, all made sense, man. This was perfect. This was a perfect journey for me.
Yeah, it all fell into place.
Yep. And you don't, like I said, when you're in it, you're not looking at that. You're looking at, what's your next, especially even after winning. I never ever gloated in that. That was, I never embraced, and I probably should have, but to me it was on to the next. As soon as it was over, it was a letdown. It was like, okay, what's next? I need to do something now. I need to do something. What's next? Who am I fighting? It was never, hey, let's take a week and let's party, even though we did, but it just felt like I needed something more. This isn't it yet. I got to do more. I want more. So I think that's what really never really gave me an opportunity to really enjoy those moments. And I would say that to anyone, take that time, because those are special. And in the moment at that time, really embrace it. I never did that. I always kind of was jumped to the next thing. And it was a mistake, because I should have taken a moment, a day, a 2, 3, enjoy it. You earned it.
Yeah. So what would you say for a kid out there who may be struggling with their anger, who wants to be involved with this type of stuff? They're in some trouble. What would be your advice to that kid?
Yeah, I would, again, it's hard because you don't know everybody's situation, right? But I would say if you have the opportunity, is to get into something that makes you feel relevant. Like when you accomplish whatever it is that you're doing and you feel like it's an accomplishment, like people pay attention to you, gravitate to that. It could be boxing, it could be bare knuckle fighting, it could be art, it could be rapping. You see a lot of rappers do it, and they just get smashed because they come out with some really, really vulgar and really obscene things. But at the same time, I always say they're not actually doing it. They're rapping about it. And I'd rather have them do that than actually do it. And again, I think being able to vent and release yourself, whether it's through sports or whether it's through articulate things, find something that makes you feel relevant.
Yeah, this is great. I could talk to you forever. This could be, it could go on forever. But I definitely want to have you on again. Maybe we'll do a live and you can answer some questions for some people. And
love to. I love Q&As. I love Q&As.
Yeah, we could definitely set something up for the future if you're interested.
Yeah.
This is great. It's been a really good interview, and I'm excited to have this one in the record book. I'm like you, like on to the better thing, and this is like the pinnacle right here for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, what's next, man? Let's go.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this one, and I'll invite you back on, and we'll talk some more in the future.
Sounds good, brother.
Definitely. If you guys like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, too bad. Start your own podcast.
Send me your address if you don't like it.
Thank you.